Welcome back everyone to Bernie Man's Gaming Vault, where today we're going back, way back to 1992 to review a game that helped define the first person shooter genre. That's right, we're talking about the iconic Wolfenstein 3D. This game from ID Software is often credited as the granddaddy of FPS games, and today we're diving into why it's still relevant even decades after its release. So let's suit up, grab our guns and storm Castle Wolfenstein in this review. Developed by ID Software and released in 1992, Wolfenstein 3D revolutionized the gaming world. It was the first game to truly popularize the first-person shooter formula, setting the stage for future classics like Doom and Quake. Now, back in the early 90s, the idea of navigating a 3D world was mind-blowing. But keep in mind, when we say 3D, we're talking about early 90s 3D. The graphics may seem primitive by today's standards, but for its time, Wolfenstein 3D was cutting edge. So let's break down the gameplay. You play as BJ Blazkowicz, an American soldier tasked with infiltrating a Nazi stronghold. And what do you do once inside? Well, you shoot a whole lot of Nazis. The game is simple: navigate through maze-like levels, fight off enemies, collect keys and reach the exit. It's the kind of straightforward action that's perfect for a quick pick up and play experience. Now, the controls are pretty simple, but that's not a bad thing. You move with the arrow keys and use spacebar to fire. No fancy combos or complex mechanics, just you and a weapon of destruction. One thing I really appreciate is how the gunplay is satisfying. Even with its limited arsenal, you start off with a basic knife and a pistol, but soon enough you'll get your hands on a machine gun and then eventually even a rocket launcher. Let's talk about graphics. As I mentioned before, Wolfenstein 3D uses what we now call 2.5D graphics. It's not the true 3D like we're used to today, but rather a 2D world with some tricks to simulate depth. The textures are simple and repetitive, and the environments are quite boxy, but you know what? It adds to the charm. There's a certain nostalgia to these pixelated walls and blocky enemies. The sound is another aspect that really adds to the atmosphere. The eerie music sets the tone for creepy corridors, and the sound effects, while basic, are surprisingly satisfying. From the clink of your bullets to the grunts of your enemies, it's an experience that immerses you into the world of Castle Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein 3D has a pretty straightforward progression system. You move from one level to the next, clearing rooms and finding keys to unlock the doors. But while the levels may seem simple, there's a lot of depth in the design. You've got multiple floors, secret rooms and hidden treasures that encourage exploration. And let's not forget those infamous bosses. Fighting likes of General Deadshed or even the final confrontation with Hitler himself is definitely a memorable experience. And the enemies. The Nazis in this game came in all shapes and sizes. You've got your basic soldiers, but things get more interesting when you face off against the SS guards, attack dogs, and even mutants. Each type of enemy has its own attack patterns, which keeps you on your toes. Let's talk about the difficulty of Wolfenstein 3D. It doesn't hold your hand. The game ramps up in difficulty as you progress, with enemies becoming tougher and more numerous. But there's something oddly rewarding about figuring out the best path, managing your ammo and taking down wave after wave of enemies. The difficulty options allow you to choose how tough you want your experience to be. So whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned player, there's something here for you. and replayability, well, Wolfenstein 3D offers plenty. Aside from the main campaign, there are secret levels and a second encounter mode, which adds more content to keep you coming back. If you enjoy the classic FPS formula, there's plenty of fun to be had here, even today. Let's take a step back and look at Wolfenstein 3D's impact. This game is considered one of the first true FPS titles, laying the groundwork for games like Doom and Quake. It introduced a lot of mechanics we now take for granted in today's shooters. Fast-paced action, health pickups, and a key-based progression. Without Wolfenstein 3D, there's a good chance that FPS games wouldn't be what they are today. It's that influential. So after taking a quick look back today at Wolfenstein 3D, what do you think? The game is undoubtedly a classic that holds up surprisingly well even today. It may not have the advanced graphics or complex mechanics of modern shooters, but its fast-paced action, memorable levels, and historic importance make it a must-play for any gaming enthusiast or history buff. Sure, the game can feel a little bit repetitive at times, and some might find the lack of complexity a bit shallow by today's standards, but there's no denying that it was revolutionary when it came out. So if you're a fan of retro games or the FPS genre, you owe it to yourself to experience Wolfenstein 3D. Now, for the big question, the rating. Well, I'm giving Wolfenstein 3D a solid 8 out of 10. It's a fantastic piece of gaming history, and while it has its flaws, it's a fun and influential game that still has a lot of charm. And if you're into FPS games, you can't go wrong with this one. Its history alone and what it did for the genre and future games warrants a high score. I used to play this on the PC when I was a kid, on several floppy disks. It was one of the first FPS games I played. This alongside Doom. You can definitely see that Doom took all, if not most of its influence from this game, so that's how important this game was. That's going to be it for today's review. Let me know in the comments what you think about the game. Do you have any fond memories of it, or is this the first time you've heard about it? If you do like the video, please don't forget to like, please subscribe, and hit that bell for more content. Until the next time, keep gaming and look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next video.